Good day to Dr. Mukherjee and my fellow friends. My name is Lawrence and my lecture number is 300359. And today I will be presenting my research assignment titled Factor Influencing Student Preference for Online Learning in University of Utara Malaysia, UUM. We all know that online learning has become a huge part of our life recently. But the big question is, why do some students learn it while others prefer to go back to class? Today, I will uncover the economic and behavior reason behind this choice. Let's start with the background. As we know, the COVID-19 pandemic forced a massive, rapid shift to online learning in Malaysia. Suddenly, everyone had to use Zoom and Webex. Now that we are in the post-pandemic phase, studies show mixed reactions. Globally, about 72% of students want to continue learning online. However, in Malaysia and specifically in UUM, the uptake is inconsistent. Even though the university has invested heavily in digital tools, we still see students hesitating to fully embrace them. This brings us the problem. This is the core problem I want to address. Most current research only look at infrastructure like is the internet fast enough, but they often ignore the behavior and economic side of things. Here is the conflict. On one hand, students know online learning saves money and time, but on the other hand, many suffer from digital fatigue, isolations, and lack of motivations. If we don't understand these behavior factors, specifically how students weigh the cost versus the utility, UAM risks wasting resources on systems that students simply don't want to use. We need to understand the student as a consumer. Therefore, my study focused on three main objectives. First, to examine if gender difference influence how students perceive online learning. Second, to see if financial background like income sources affect their preference. Third, and most importantly, to determine which factor, network externality factor, price factor, or utility factor significantly influence the demand for online learning. To analyze this, I use an economic framework based on three theories. Consumer theory, utility factor, which assumes students act rationally to maximize satisfaction. Demand theory, price factor, looking at how costs affect demand. Network externalities, or the bandwagon effect. Do students use it just because their friends are using it? In my framework, these three are independent variables, and demand for online learning is the dependent variable. Moving on to Chapter 3, the methodology. To ensure the reliability of this study, I adopt a quantitative research design. This approach was chosen because I want to quantify the relationship between our economic factor and student demand using statistical data. The target population is the entire undergraduate community at UAM, with roughly 90,399 students. For this specific assignment, I conduct a pilot study using 50 respondents. I use convenient sampling by distributing Google Forms via WhatsApp group. While the sample size is small, it provides a valid initial insight into the student population behavior. The questionnaire was carefully designed within 5 sections. Section A covers demographic, while Section B to E use a 5-point Likert scale to measure network accessibility, price, utility, and demand. Finally, all data was processed using SPSS version 25. When I run 4 types of analysis: descriptive statistic, independent sample t-test, one-way ANOVA, and multiple regression analysis. Now let's dive into Chapter 4. First, let's look at who actually respond to the survey. Understanding the respondent profile is important to see if our data is biased. We managed to get a very balanced view with the 52% male and 48% female respondents. This balance is great because it means our result represent both gender equally. The majority of respondents, about 60%, are from Year 3. This is actually very beneficial for the study because Year 3 students have likely experienced both online and physical classes extensively, so their opinions are more mature and grounded in experience. Interestingly, half of the students are supported by their parents, while 38% rely on PTPTN. This gives us a good mix of students from different financial backgrounds to test our price factor hypothesis later. Before testing the relationship, I look at the descriptive statistic to understand the general sentiment of the students. I look at the mean score and standard deviations. Utility factor. These variables score the highest mean at 4.12. In a 5-point scale, anything above 4 is considered high. This indicates a strong consensus that students find online learning convenient, flexible, and easy to use. Demand for online learning. This was also high at 4.07, showing that students generally want to continue using this platform. Network externality factor. This had the lowest mean at 3.97, while still positive, is noticeably lower than utility. The value of standard deviation range between 0.67 and 0.76. Since these are all below 1, it tells us that the student answers were quite consistent. There were not many extreme opinions. Most students generally agree with each other. One of my key questions was, does who you are change what you prefer? To answer this, I performed two comparative analyses. First, gender difference. I used an independent sample t-test to compare male and female students. Hypothesis 1A, 1B, and 1C test if gender influence network price or utility factor. The result, no significant difference. For example, in the network externality factor, the p-value was 0.192, and for utility, it was 0.234. Both are greater than the significance level of 0.1. What does this mean? It means that male and female students at UAM share almost identical views on online learning. Gender is not a dividing line here. Second, financial background. I use a one-way ANOVA to compare groups based on their financial support, parents versus PTPN versus other like JPA and MARA. Again, these results were consistent. The p-value for all factors were well above 0.1. For instance, the utility factor had a p-value of 0.821. This is a crucial finding. It suggests that a student's source of income does not dictate their preference, whether you are founded by PTPN or your parents. Your demand for online learning is driven by other things, not your wallet. So if gender and money don't explain the demand, what does? This brings us to the most important part of my analysis, the multiple regression. This test tells us which independent variable actually predicts the demand for online learning. First, let's look at the model fit. The R-squared value is 0.887. In plain English, this means that our three-factor utility, price, and network explain 88.7% of the change in student demand. This is an extremely high percentage, meaning on our economic framework is very accurate for this context. Now let's look at the individual predictors. Network externality factor, the p-value is 0.232. This is not significant. This was surprising because usually students follow their friends. But here, peer pressure does not seem to drive demand. Price factor, the p-value is 0.139, again not significant. Despite common belief that students are price sensitive, cost was not a major predictor. Utility factor, the p-value is 0.000. This is highly significant. Not only is it significant, but look at the beta value of 0.604. This means for every 1 unit increase in perceived usefulness, the demand for online learning shoots up by 0.604 units. In summary, Chapter 4 proved that functionality and usefulness are the only significant driver of demand among these three factors. Moving on the discussions, why did the data turn out this way? Let's interpret this finding through the lens of the theory 1 mentioned on Chapter 2, Utility Maximization Theory. Our findings strongly support this theory. The significant impact of the utility factor confirms that students are rational decision makers. They are maximizing their satisfaction by choosing a mode of learning that offers flexibility and time-saving benefits. If the system helps them learn at their own pace, they want it. Why price failed? Demand theory. Why was not price significant? We believe this is due to price inelastic. Education is a necessity, not a luxury. Furthermore, many students use free campus Wi-Fi or already on device, so the marginal cost of attending an online class is near zero. Therefore, price change don't really affect their decisions. Why network fail? Pendulum effect. The lack of significance here suggests that UM students are independent, unlike social media apps where you join because friends join. Online learning is a personal and academic responsibility. Students prioritize their own grades and convenience over what their social circle is doing. To conclude my presentation, this research has successfully achieved all its objectives. We found that demographic factors like gender and income do not influence preference. Instead, utility is the supreme driver of online learning demand. On this, I have specific policy implications for UM. UMIT should focus on making the online learning portal more user-friendly and intuitive. Since ease of use is part of utility, a better interface will directly increase student demand. Infrastructure is a key. Since utility depends on access, UM must upgrade the Wi-Fi bandwidth in residential hall in Axis. A slow connection kills the convenience factor, which in turn kills demand. Lecturers should be trained not just to use the tools but to use them efficiently, creating a bite-sized content that respects the student's desire for flexibility. Finally, for future research, I recommend expanding the sample size beyond 50 students and perhaps using qualitative interview to dig deeper into my price was not a concern for this student. That is conclude my presentation on the factor influencing online learning preference. I hope this sheds some light on how UM can better serve its students in the digital age. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Thank you.